Today is Wednesday, October 29th, and today we're going to be looking at my Week 9 power rankings going into Week 9 after the Week 8 games. Like usual, we're going to get right into it. At number 32, I have the New York Jets. They did get their first win of the season, and last week they were number 32 after starting 0-7. But a few things kind of went against the Jets. A couple of teams that were towards the bottom last week actually ended up winning games. And I just think still the Jets have not had a better season than anyone to this point, despite the fact that they ended up winning last week. The Tennessee Titans, a team who was at 31 last week, I still have them at number 31 after another loss this last weekend. Cam Ward didn't look great. The offense as a whole has just not been performing well. Number 30, I have the Arizona Cardinals. They dropped one spot, even though they did not play this last weekend. I don't see their season as a very good one right now. The New Orleans Saints I have at number 29. They've made a quarterback change going from Spencer Rattler to Tyler Shuck, and I think this was one that we kind of saw coming. The offense has had some somewhat sporadic performances lately. I think it just was time to see if maybe someone else in there can provide more consistency and see. I mean, this was the second round pick of this team. If you look at the history of the Saints, Tyler Shuck is like the second or third highest drafted quarterback in franchise history. It's kind of time to see if he's maybe better than Spencer Rattler for this offense. The Miami Dolphins I have at number 28. A decent rise after a win at home. I shouldn't say at home. They were on the road in Atlanta. And it was a convincing win. 34-10. It pretty much was over before the third quarter. Pretty good performance. Also pretty bad performance on Atlanta's side. The Las Vegas Raiders at 27. I have them dropping a spot. Even though they did not play last week. Again, kind of like the Cardinals. I think 27 kind of fits for the Raiders. The New York Giants I have at number 26. Not only did they lose the game on Sunday to the Philadelphia Eagles, they also lost Cam Scatterbo for the rest of the season. Something that's not great, obviously. But there is a hope that Tyron Tracy coming back in as the lead back, he had a similar year that Scatterbo was having last year in his rookie season for Tyron Tracy. So there's a little bit of hope that him assuming the lead back position again potentially gets him back on track as one of the better backs in the NFL. Cleveland I have at number 25, dropping a couple of spots after losing this last weekend. Myles Garrett, 5 sacks, and the team still loses. You saw some obvious frustration. And the offense, after last week when they put up 31 points, there was hopefully a thought within the building that they had some things figured out. They knew where they wanted to attack and how they wanted to do it, but this last week's performance, it kind of dashed any hopes you had for that team as an offense. 24, I have Cincinnati. Already mentioned it. They had the terrible upset loss to the New York Jets this last week. I don't know. I'm completely out on the Bengals. Jamar Chase had another game where he was targeted almost 20 times. The defense, it cannot be this bad if the Bengals really think they have a hope at making the playoffs. I mean, you cannot sit there with a straight face and look at the last 6 weeks that this defense has put up statistically and think they're anything close to a playoff team. Number 23, I have the Minnesota Vikings. It's just all sorts of bad for Minnesota right now. After they won that game in Week 3, 48-10 against the Cincinnati Bengals, it's been a pretty tough showing week after week. And I think injuries are really taking a toll. This is a team that plays in a tough conference, in a tough division, I should say. And not only do they play in a tough division, they just got done playing 3 straight AFC North opponents, 2 of those teams being the Browns and the Steelers. So it's like you're going to get beat up playing against those teams. You play the Eagles the week after that. You play the Chargers the next week. And it kind of made sense that they got boat raced a little bit by the Chargers. This is a team who's just having a tough go of it. I have them at number 23. 22, the Atlanta Falcons. They kind of deserve to have this drop after losing to the Miami Dolphins at home. And it wasn't just a loss. It was almost like a blowout. Bijan Robinson had another low production day. Only 12 touches in total for Bijan Robinson, though. So you put some of the blame on maybe the game plan as to why is this guy not getting the ball 20 to 25 times a game. Number 21, I have the Washington Commanders. This is just a team right now. They're either a lot of guys are coming back from injury or they're still on the shelf not playing. And so it's kind of tough still to get a beat on Washington as a team. But with that being said, they have a pretty tough 2 weeks ahead of them with the Seahawks and the Lions. Both games at home. But I think we're going to get more answers these next couple of weeks as to what really should we be expecting for the rest of the season for Washington. Number 20, I have Baltimore. Their first win in a long time. And this was sorely needed for Baltimore to kind of get back on track and have a better feeling going forward. They get Lamar back this week. They have the Dolphins on the road, but still, you get Lamar back. The hope is that you kind of see this game as a get-right game. Chicago, this was the first time Baltimore scored more than 20 points in over a month. So this was a good performance for them. They're hoping, like I said, with Lamar back, that they continue this type of performance. The Dallas Cowboys, I have at number 19. They drop a couple of spots after losing at Denver. This was a pretty convincing loss. In Dallas, look, the track record right now, the best thing you can say about any of their outcomes in any game this year is that they tied with the Packers. That's really the best thing about their season so far, and it's kind of tough for me. The offense is awesome, but the defense is just awful. They're like the Bengals of the NFC, and that's really not a compliment. The Carolina Panthers I have at number 18 after a 40-9 loss against Buffalo, but to be fair, they were playing without Bryce Young, and Bryce Young has looked solid this year. This is a 4-3 Carolina Panthers team coming into Week 8 that really had taken steps forward. The running game was getting better. The passing game as a whole was getting better. And they had ripped off 3 straight against Miami, Dallas, and the Jets. I just think they got caught without their starting quarterback, and they didn't look good. That's going to happen to a lot of teams. At 17, I have the Houston Texans. I might be a little biased, but this last win against the San Francisco 49ers, they proved what they can do and how much value they have to their team because they absolutely shut down Christian McCaffrey. It was probably his worst day as a Niner since he was traded over to that team in, I believe, 2022. And so it gives me a lot of confidence if I'm a Texans fan, like I am, that at 3-4, we just had a month where we went 3-1. We beat not very great teams, but we beat the Niners just now. And that's going to give us some confidence to end the season. And this is a pretty tough stretch coming up for Houston. They have Denver, Jacksonville, Tennessee, Buffalo, Indianapolis, and Kansas City this next month and a half stretch. But if they come out at the end of that with an above 500 record overall, this is a team that still can make some noise. And if the offense actually gets healthy and gets productive, they're a team with an offense that's explosive and a defense that can make plays at every level. And that's a pretty good formula to be a winning team in the playoffs. Pittsburgh I have at number 16, dropping a bit after their loss to the Green Bay Packers. The Pittsburgh Steelers, week after week, are just looking like a team that is not even that they're the best team in their division. They just have the best record in their division. And that's really the only thing propping them up at this point. The Chicago Bears I have at 15. A disappointing loss to Baltimore. It's a loss that I think you could kind of see coming, though. The last month has been really good for Chicago. I think maybe they just were due for an off game. Um, and that's, I think, what happened. It's the first time all year they've scored less than 20 points. And against this Baltimore defense, you don't want it to be that team that shuts you down, but it happened. Next week, you get the Bengals. So you're probably going to have a chance for Rome Odunze to get 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. This was a tough loss, but I think next week is where we see a better Bears team. 14, Jacksonville, I have them dropping 1 spot. They didn't play this week, but I just think the Chargers, I think they deserve to kind of leapfrog them. The Chargers, like I just said, I have them at number 13 after beating the Minnesota Vikings on Thursday Night Football. Justin Herbert is putting together a really good season. They're able to piece together the running game, especially with Joe Alt coming back this last week. They're just able to kind of piece it together, and hopefully, once they get healthy, they're able to go on a run. At number 12, the Kansas City Chiefs. They dismantled the Washington Commanders on Monday Night Football, and defensively, they're looking really good. I don't really care that it's against Marcus Mariota. It's also against Debo and Terry McLaurin and Krosky Merritt and a decent offensive line. And if you want to give credit to the offense as well, you can say, well, they went up and down the field against a good defense, against a well-coached team overall. Number 11, I have the Philadelphia Eagles after their win against the Giants. Honestly, this is just feeling like it's going to be Eagles-Chiefs in the Super Bowl again. Both of these teams are towards the top of their conference in terms of wins. Both of the teams are leading their division. Both of the teams are just, like I said, it's looking like it's going to be those two in the Super Bowl again, as much as nobody wants that. The LA Rams, I have at number 10, staying put where I had them last week. They did not play this last week, so I think 10 is a good spot. Just kind of on that outer edge of the really elite teams, but still in the top 10. The San Francisco 49ers. Now, they lost this last week, but the worst part about their loss is that all the other teams in the division had a bye week in week 8. So all 3 of those teams got to watch San Francisco lose to a team that Seattle beat, that the Rams beat. The Cardinals didn't play them yet, but if you're the Rams and the Seahawks, you're looking at it like, man, that's kind of funny. This Niners team that has been the king of this division for years now, they didn't beat the team that we beat. I mean, Seattle just beat the Texans 2 weeks ago. So this was kind of a bad loss for San Francisco. Still without Brock Purdy, but Christian McCaffrey got shut down, and you're hoping that the blueprint to kind of stop Christian McCaffrey didn't just get published by the Houston Texans for the rest of the season, because if Christian McCaffrey is getting shut down week after week after Brock Purdy comes back, it's not going to be a good time for the Niners. Buffalo, I have at number 8. I said last week they needed a signature win. Now, I wouldn't say Carolina is a signature team to beat in the NFL, but you beat anybody 40-9, even with their backup quarterback, you deserve a little bit of respect. I have them going up a couple of spots after last week. Seattle, I have at number 7. They did not play this last week, but they're looking like the best team in the NFC West, one of the best teams in the NFC, and if Jackson Smith-Njigba keeps elevating his play, they're going to be challenging with Tampa Bay, Green Bay, and Detroit as the best team in the NFC. Denver, I have at number 6. 44-24 was their victory over Dallas this last week. They're putting together a month where it feels good to see. This was everything we were saying about the Broncos coming into this season. They have receivers, they have running backs, they have a good tight end, they have an offensive line. If they defensively can just, cause a couple of turnovers or maybe hit the quarterback a few times, the offense is going to do enough to win games. A few weeks ago, it didn't look great in London against the Jets, but outside of that, they've scored 28, 21, 33, and 44. It's it's just looking great for Denver right now. Tampa Bay, I have at number 5. They did end up beating the New Orleans Saints 23-3 this past weekend. Not a win you want to hang your cap on, but a good division win, and I had them moving back into the top 5. Green Bay, I have at number 4, getting that win in Pittsburgh on Sunday Night Football. It was a pretty good game. I think Green Bay overall, they have a really good offense. They have the ultimate playmaker on defense in Micah Parsons, a guy who can flip the game on its head at any given moment. And the Packers, I think their best quality is just they're so balanced. They know how to run the ball and incorporate the pass, or pass the ball and incorporate the run. They kind of know how to do it either way. New England, I have at number 3. Even though they did get the victory this last weekend, I have them staying put at 3 just because I feel like the two teams in front of them have had a better season than them. But still, New England, I would love to fix letting Drake May get sacked by the same guy 5 times. I'd love to be able to fix that. But if that's the worst thing that happens to the Patriots for the rest of the year, I think they're going to end up pretty happy. The Detroit Lions, I have at number 2. They do fall one spot in my rankings, but that's more of the fact that they didn't play last week. I think if they win their game this week against the Minnesota Vikings, and it's in a convincing fashion, you could easily see that team back at number 1. The Indianapolis Colts, 7-1. I have them as the number 1 team in the NFL right now. I just think nobody has had the type of season that Indianapolis has. Not only at 7-1, but with possibly the MVP of the NFL. Well, you could say 2 candidates. Between Jonathan Taylor and Daniel Jones. I mean, if Jonathan Taylor continues this streak he's been on this last few weeks, I mean, he scored 3 touchdowns in 4 games this year. He's just doing things as a running back that we haven't seen in a very long time, with the yardage, with the yards per carry, with the touchdowns, with the receiving game. It's wild to see what Jonathan Taylor has done. But Daniel Jones has also kept all of these receivers incorporated in the game as well. Tyler Warren is possibly the rookie of the year as the tight end this year. Michael Pittman's had a good year. Alec Pierce, Josh Downs. Like, you can say really positive things about almost everybody on this Colts offense. But where this team really shines is the defense. I mean, last year, it was no secret that last year was a disappointment for the Indianapolis Colts. It is no secret how upset they were at their performance last year. And this year, they're putting all of that behind them. They're putting whatever you want to say about last season. That's last season. This year, right now, Indianapolis has been the best team, I think, offensively and defensively in the entire NFL. That's going to be the power rankings for this week. Let me know, did I get your favorite team right or wrong? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know any other comments you have down below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.